When I joined the temple, I remember initial days, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj would be giving Bhagavatam classes. He would give marathon classes, minimum 4 hours, 5 hours. So in the class, sometimes we would go through this phase of feeling sleepy. And sometimes if Maharaj has a close relationship, he would tell that devotee's name. And he would say, stand up, Prabhu. And then in front. And by telling that one person, Maharaj would wake up everyone else. And that person would stand on the side and hear. And then when he is fresh, then again he'll sit. There was no shame in that. Because we're conditioned, our body is not. So we have to make an effort to hear. We have to make an effort. And it is wonderful. See, nowadays what has happened, unfortunately, we have this smartphone. So, if you are bored in the class, after some time, you want to get stimulated, you can pick up this phone and in 2 seconds you get stimulated. Earlier, we didn't have the smartphone. So even if you felt bored for some time in the class, we would tolerate that. And then again, we would be back in the class. We would go through this waves, but then overall, the energy of the Sangha would influence us. And we knew how to embrace pain, tolerate boredom, and allow ourselves to be in the space of Krishna and get nourished. Now we want a kick all the time. And that's why we miss Krishna. So therefore, effort is needed in hearing and chanting. Shrutasya pumsam suchirashramasya nanvanjasa suribiriditorta. We have to hear with great detailed explanations, not shortcut. Sometimes if you have to speak the same pastime again and again, you say, as all of you know, in Kaliya pastime, Krishna subdued Kaliya. Today we will discuss 5 lessons from this pastime. Kaliya, K for A for L for I for A for Kaliya. We like to give shortcuts. No, hear in detail. Dive into the pastime. I myself, I don't want to embarrass you, Prabhu. Bol deta hu abhi. Just last time. I always hear Amarendra Prabhu's classes. What I like about his classes is, he doesn't do shortcut. There is katha means pura justice karo. Khicho usko, pura अच्छे से समझाओ. So sometime I remember in 2009, my Guru Maharaj, he gave this class and Bhagavatam class in the temple. He spoke about the milk drinking Brahman pastime, in Chaitanya Bhagavat. There was one Brahman was drinking milk. Lord Chaitanya chastised him and then he became humble. He explained in great detail. So we heard it. So that class got over. The next Sunday was again his Bhagavatam class. So Maharaj, I don't know whether he forgot what happened, but in that mood, in that entering that space, he again remembered that pastime, and again spoke for 1 hour the same pastime, which he had spoken the previous Sunday. And he was not feeling, I've already spoken. No, he was happy speaking it. And then that whole year, in that if you see in Radhanath Swami media, that services I saw in 2009, if you go, you will see that whole year, all the classes you hear, at least 10 times Maharaj has spoken this pastime. We generally, if you have spoken once, we will not speak it again for 3-4 years. No, devotees means see, the difference between pure devotee and us is what? We hear because we want to get purified. Pure devotees hear because they love Krishna. The whole paradigm is different. They get to associate with Krishna. For them, that is the end in itself, hearing. For us, hearing is a means. That is the problem. Anyway, so we have to hear consistently. I remember recently Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Swami Maharaj came to Chowpatty. He was giving Bhagavatam class. And I was sitting and I was hearing, I was enjoying the class, relishing. Maharaj started Radha Madhav. And I was nodding my head. And then I suddenly looked on my right side. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was sitting next to me. The whole class, he was also sitting and hearing. Now, I was so nourished because I realized this is what Maharaj must have been doing when he was a young brahmachari, 1971. Now he is 75 years old, been in the movement for more than 50 years. He is doing the same thing. Hearing class, Bhagavatam class. And it's not that if he's not in the temple hall, he's not hearing. In his room also he's hearing. One day I went to his room for a meeting. And just when I went, the Bhagavatam class had just got over. One new brahmachari had given the Bhagavatam class. And Maharaj is telling me the whole class summary. What a class he gave. I said, yes, Maharaj. I had missed the class. But then Maharaj said, what a class he gave. And then Maharaj told me 3-4 points from the class. I was like, wow. So in ISKCON, what we do on the first day, that is what we will do on the last day also. In other organizations, like my cousin sister, she got into IIM Ahmedabad, one of the top MBA colleges in India, top ranked. And she was the youngest student in the class because she was just 21 and she got in. Everybody else was very senior. And after she finished, she got placement in one of the best companies, Coca-Cola. And there, I asked her, what is your job? She said, I am going with the truck with the delivery boys, those who are supplying Coca-Cola. I said, you are MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. This is what you are doing? This is a very low job. I told her like that. She has to go in the truck with the boys, wearing the cap and supplying all the bottles. And then she smirked, she said, but this is just for temporary. After that, after a few months, I don't have to do that. I'm just learning how the organization runs. After that, I'll have my own cabin, then my own office, then I'll be a CEO. And today she's a CEO of a big company in England. She doesn't have to go in the trucks and do all that in the hot sun. She doesn't have to. She has her own AC cabin. What I'm saying, in the outside world, when you grow in your corporate career, you don't do what you did in the first day after 30 years. But in Krishna consciousness, what we did in the first day, that is what we will do on our deathbed also. Hearing, chanting, that is all. Simple. Bhakti is so simple. So therefore, this is very important. Shrutasya pumsam suchira shramasya nanvanjasa suribiriditortha. We should hear from suribiriditortha, from pure devotees who give nice explanations on the Bhagavatam. Advanced Vaishnavas. Tatat gunanu shravanam mukunda padaravindam hridayeshu esham. So when we hear from such devotees, then Krishna will be situated in the heart. So what are the 5 things? First, hearing, culture of hearing. Thank you. I was just saying hearing. It is culture of hearing. Second, long time. Third, effort. Fourth, in detail. Hear in detail. Don't cut corners. And fifth, from advanced Vaishnava, sincere devotees. So this is very, very important. And therefore, as we have got this human form of life, we can understand and we can ask questions. We can go deeper into scriptures. This is very important. Actually, till recently, Krishna consciousness was different. Spiritual life was different. Srila Prabhupada, out of his amazing compassion, he changed the whole game. Before Srila Prabhupada advented on the preaching scene, spiritual life was practiced how? There were many spiritual sadhus, babas, like they would be doing their bhajan and they would catch interested people. If somebody was interested, they would go. I don't know if you've gone to Rishikesh, Haridwar, Ayodhya, you'll see some Babaji, some small ashram somewhere. Some seeker who was looking for truth would be going and he would join that Babaji. So, many of these gurus would have disciples because they would catch interested people. Remember these 3 words. They would catch interested people. But Srila Prabhupada came and he changed the whole game. He created interest in people. People who had no interest in spiritual life. By presenting it in such a way, he was like, yeah. He made us ask questions. Earlier, those who asked questions, they were interested in spiritual life. You see many sadhus, there is this famous verse, 3.2.1, I think, Mundaka Upanishad. And Shvetashatra Upanishad also it is there, 6.7, very famous verse. Samanivrik, that famous verse, what is that? Uttishtatha jagrata prapya varan nibodata shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya durgam patastat kavayo vadanti. Have you heard this verse? It's an amazing verse, which means Uttishtatha. Many sadhus, if you ask them how you became a spiritual person, they'll say, when I was in college, when I was at home, I read this verse. The actual spiritual life is meant for thinkers who ask troubling questions, discomforting questions, who want to rise above mediocrity, who want to challenge their existing life. What am I doing? That's why, those who are spiritual seekers, if you ask them, when they come to ISKCON, what really attracted you? They say, first day I heard that we are eating, sleeping, having sex life and defending. It's animal life. I got shaken by that. This one sentence which we have spoken thousands of times, it has changed people's life because this is actually a shaking statement. What are we doing? We are living like animals. But for many of us, it's not so exciting because we didn't come looking for Krishna. So therefore, but we should not forget that's how spiritual life is. So before Srila Prabhupada, it was more like catch interested people. What did Prabhupada do? Create interest in people. Now I know some preachers, they have to do the third thing. Take care of people's interest. That person is not at all interested in spiritual life. He has no interest. You can't even create interest in him. Just take care of him. Are ma prasad kao. Don't give motivational talk. Give him help. That fellow doesn't improve. And this preacher is also exhausted. So we have come a long way from where it was, spiritual life. You know, in 2007, I had this opportunity to go to Rishikesh for 3 weeks to all the different ashramas. I took one devotee, one very financially endowed gentleman. He wanted to explore India's spirituality. So I remember going to all the ashramas, and all the sadhus were no-nonsense sadhus. They didn't care whether they were speaking their realization. That's how it's supposed to be. But it's okay. Why I'm saying this? Because as human beings, we can ask questions, we can go deeper. That's why Brahmaji tells the Devatas, Ye bhyartitam apichano nrigatim prapanna jnanam cha tattva vishayam sahadharma metra naradanam bhagavato vitaranta mushya sammohita vitataya batamayayate. Those who have got human form of life, they are extremely fortunate. Brahmaji is telling the Devatas, because they can understand, they can ask questions, they can go deeper. But if we don't use this human form of life to explore our relationship with Krishna, Naradanam Bhagavato Vitaranta Mushya, if we don't do that, certainly such a person is bewildered by Maya. Sammohita vitataya batamayayate. So therefore, let us grab this opportunity and let us understand, let us go deeper into spiritual life by asking serious questions. But unfortunately, what has happened with many of us is that we understand the seriousness of spiritual life. We also understand the importance of asking questions. And I've seen most of us, we ask questions related to how. If you give any class in ISKCON, you will see it ends with how to do this. This is a natural question and necessary also. Prabhuji, how to balance our family, how to manage spiritual life, how to chant. So what I was thinking, I'll just share for a few minutes the nature of questions. Because the kind of questions we ask will determine our spiritual advancement. So please know that asking questions is very good. It is just that if we change a little bit our approach to asking questions, we'll make a lot of advancement. Srimad Bhagavatam explains, after Parikshit Maharaj asked his questions, what did Shukdev Goswami say in 2.1.1? How does Bhagavatam begin for Shukdev Goswami? Varyaneshate prashna krita lokam hitam nripa atmavid sammatah pumsam shrotavyadi shuyah para. Congratulations for asking good questions, very good questions, because these questions will benefit the whole world. So therefore, it's very important to ask good questions, right kind of questions. So at the same time, we need to go deeper. Just 1 second. In the 10th canto also, Shukdev Goswami explains that when we ask questions in a Bhagavatam class, who all get benefit in a Bhagavatam class? 3 kinds of people. Vasudeva Kata Prashna Purusham Strin Punatihi Vaktaram Prachakam Shrotrims Tatpada Salilam Yata. Like Mother Ganga is flowing towards all the 3 planetary systems, upper, middle and lower. Similarly, in a Bhagavatam class, 3 kinds of people get benefit. Vaktaram, the one who is speaking, one who is hearing, and one who is asking questions. All get benefit. So asking questions is healthy, and we should ask questions. There is no doubt about it. And also it is okay if some devotees have no questions. It's not that you have to deliberately ask questions. So let us at the outset clarify that it is a sign of intelligence. Scriptures encourage us to ask questions. Even Srila Prabhupada, even Krishna encourages Arjuna in the 4th chapter of Gita. Verse number 13 is that? Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So humbly asking questions. It is that seeker mentality which made Prince Siddhartha into Gautam Buddha. Curiosity mindset. Seeker mentality. We generally, as you get older, we have cynical mentality, cynical mindset. We are not impressed by anything. There is cynical mentality and a seeker mentality. There is a difference. Seeker mentality is, how is this true? I've seen when I have this genuine curiosity mindset, I get answers. Like I was hearing Prabhupada's tape, recently morning class, Prabhupada saying, so devotees can chant Hare Krishna whole day. We don't get tired. I said, really? So I had a choice now. I could become cynical. Really? How can this happen? I get tired after 16 rounds. I could have dismissed it. Oh, Prabhupada is saying, for Prabhupada, they doesn't get tired. No, I said, okay, let me have a curiosity mindset. Like children have curiosity mindset. Have you seen? So like that. So I tried to be a child. I said, no, Prabhupada is saying that we can chant whole day. So what is there in the holy name that a devotee can chant whole day? I kept asking this question to myself few times in a day for the next few days. How did Prabhupada say in the class that he can chant whole day? This is a curiosity mindset. Cynical mindset would have been, thoda jyada ho gaya. Yeah, it's applicable for Prabhupada, not for me. That is cynical mindset. But I said, no, what is there in the holy name? I sincerely asked, and how Krishna arranged. So this was last year, 2 years ago. And when I heard this, and then I kept asking this question, and then suddenly came upon this amazing verse from Hari Bhakti Vilas, which kind of answered my question. And Mana Samskaranam Shaucham Maunam Mantrartha Chintanam Avyagratva Anirvedo Japa Sampatti Hetava. The 6 rules for effective japa. When I read that verse, I could connect it to my chanting. Then I could suddenly see how my chanting changed because of applying this rule. Then I read Sachinandan Maharaj's article. See, Krishna arranges things to come to you when you have that curiosity mindset. It was as if I was asking something and I got an answer from the, we say universe, but Krishna arranges basically. So when we have that mentality, curiosity mindset, seeker mentality, our questions get answered. Our famous, have you heard of Abdul Kalam? Famous president of India. He has written this book, very many books for children. He was very popular with children. He would go to schools, conduct seminars for children. So he was very popular with, he must have done at least 5,000 seminars for children. Everywhere he would go, he would give classes. So in one particular class, one girl asked a question in the class. Sir, who is the world's first scientist? And his answer received a thunderous applause for 5 minutes. It was a packed auditorium. There were some 10,000 people packed. It was like a stadium. All children and teachers. The question was what? Who is the world's first scientist? And what answer did Abdul Kalam give? He said, a child is the world's first scientist. A child is seeking. A child is curious. A child wants to know. The child has a possibility mindset. We become a little cynical as we get older. We are not impressed by small things. So he says, whenever children would ask me questions, I would immediately give answers. But one girl once asked a question I couldn't answer. I was totally stumped. Very innocently, this girl asked him, Sir, there is so much water in Brahmaputra river in Assam, and there is no water in Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu. So why not transfer that water to Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan? All problem would be solved. So Dr. Abdul Kalam says, I was shocked. I didn't know what to answer because the water crisis is a state issue, but transferring the water would require center's intervention. So it's a central problem, but state needs it. So I didn't know how to explain that it's not possible. Because for the child it is possible. So he was saying that mentality, that mindset, I want to know, what is this? So that is very much needed as we get older. So therefore, this mentality is important. This attitude of wanting to know is important. So therefore, Krishna consciousness is not simply passive hearing, it is active hearing. At the same time, I have seen that many times as we spend time in Krishna consciousness, we land up asking questions not because we want to advance in spiritual life, but we may ask questions as a means to avoid spiritual life. I'll repeat. Initially, we ask questions because we are interested, but after some time, I have seen we may ask questions as a means to avoid spiritual life. So what happens is, See, it is not the external questions I'm talking about. It is the attitude, the desire to know, the attitude to serve. Because if you are taking part in association and hearing, this Krishna conscious discussions and answers will wake us up. But if the inner orientation is not right, then we don't wake up when we hear Bhagavatam classes. And also, it takes us nowhere. In the sense, we don't get the right kind of questions also. And I've seen when the inner orientation is right, even without asking, we get a lot of answers. I remember once His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj was giving class. I was not there in the class. Our temple president, Radha Gopinath Prabhu, he has come here, na? Radha Gopinath Prabhu was telling me that when he was a young brahmachari, he used to ask a lot of questions to Maharaj. So before Maharaj would complete the answer, next question he would ask. So he was known as question bank. He had so many questions. You know, in Vedanta Sutra, there is this aphorism, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. We should always ask questions about spiritual truth. So when he would raise his hand, devotees in the back would pass comments. Atato Bhayankar Jigyasa. They would say he has a crazy inquisitiveness. Every time he would ask questions. So one day His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj told him, Prabhu, unless it is a matter of life and death, don't ask questions. So he was just saying that sometimes we just ask questions for just like that. But actually what happens when we ask questions is, when the speaker speaks the answer or when the Bhagavatam is presented and we hear attentively, that wakes us up. Like, you know, if a person is fast asleep, imagine a person is fast asleep and somebody comes and calls his name. Wake up, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. You know, Krishna Das, wake up. So when you hear your name, we wake up, right? So that's how Bhagavatam does. So Bhagavatam says, if you enjoy, you suffer. So when we hear all of this, Nayam, what is that? Nayam deho deya bajamra loke, kashthan kamanarate, vid bujame, you are a pig. Shukdev Goswami gives gali in the Bhagavatam. Swavid vara ushtra khare samstata purusha pashu nahat karana pato peto jatu nama gadagraja, you pig, you dog, you donkey. That's how he begins the class. So when we are hearing all of this, you are like camel, he is giving gali. So the whole idea is if you are attentive, you wake up. So that culture of hearing, when we are hearing attentively, we wake up means suddenly seeing everything in the true perspective. So if that is happening to us, then our asking questions is in the proper mood. But if you are asking questions and not getting answers after years in bhakti, then there is something wrong we are doing. I experienced this once. You know, I was memorizing verses. So I like to memorize verses and I forget also. My memory is not good. Then again I memorize. So I was going for my morning walk. Evening I was going for a walk. I was memorizing verses. And suddenly I saw in front of me these young college boys and girls. They deliberately, I am strongly suspicious they did it deliberately. They saw me and they cracked some very ribald jokes. I mean, they should not have said it even in a decent, even amongst themselves, they shouldn't be speaking like that. And what to speak of somebody, you know, who is dressed in saffron and walking there. So they said something very cheap. I was like shocked, but I pretended as if I didn't hear it because, you know, I knew that they're trying to grab my attention. They wanted to make me uncomfortable. So and it's a small park. So then again, next round I came, again they were saying something very vulgar. And I was shocked. And I walked ahead and suddenly in front of me, I saw an old man who was wobbling. He was barely able to stand and his servant was helping him walk. It took him 15 minutes to walk a few steps. And I stopped. Suddenly I froze. I looked at him. Then I looked at that group of young boys and girls who were a little distance away. I looked at him, looked at them and looked at myself. I said, oh, these children, these boys and girls, they have no idea where they are going. This old man was once upon a time like these young boys and girls. And these young boys and girls will be like him. And here I'm at the cusp of old age. I'm 52. You know, that moment, I cannot explain it in words. It's ineffable. It was as if all the statements I read in scriptures came as a wave in my consciousness. It's just a feeling. It cannot be expressed in thoughts. It cannot be expressed in words. It was as if, yes, what the scriptures say is right. It was a moment when I woke up for a few moments. Again, I went off to sleep in Maya. But the point is, we do get those moments of aha moments, epiphanies, realizations. All of us get that. So when there is a culture, we wake up. So, but many of us, we hear Bhagavatam classes for years and we don't wake up. Because we are not sleeping in the first place. Because if a person is sleeping, he can be woken up. What is our problem? We are pretending to be sleeping. Can a person be woken up if he is pretending to be asleep? When I was a teenager, I'm sorry I'm speaking so many of my own stories, but I'm just feeling it in the context it is true. When I was a teenager, my cousins came home and I had some argument with them. I didn't want to talk to them. I was 13 or 14, so I was in my room sleeping. And when they came in, I knew they have come. And my mom brought them to my room and I kept sleeping. My dad was also there. And they called my name. I didn't wake up. Loudly they called my name. Still I was like, because I didn't want to meet them. So my mothers are always generally compassionate. So my mom said, no, let him sleep, let him sleep. My father saying, natak kar raha, he's acting. But I continued sleeping. And then my mom told my cousins, no, let us go, let him sleep, he's tired. And then after half an hour, I could make out that they have left. When they left, I came out. I said, oh, koi aaya tha kya ghar pe? Somebody came. My father blasted at me, shouted at me, he said, you drama baj, you are doing natak. And my mother is defending me. So I remember that incident, I still remember. I was pretending to sleep. I was not actually sleeping. So when you're actually sleeping and suddenly when you hear Bhagavatam, you wake up. Pretending to sleep basically means resisting the influence. So many of us, we resist the influence of Bhagavatam. We don't want Bhagavatam to influence us and shake us. We don't want to wake up. In an inner journey, pretending to sleep means I don't want to be enlightened. I resist the influence of spiritual subject matter. See, this is, please don't take me wrongly. Even I have been a victim of this. Shukdev Goswami calls this out in Bhagavatam very emphatically. Deya patya kalatradishu atmaseneshu atatsapi tesham pramatta nidanam pashyan api na pashyati. We see everybody is dying. We see death, suffering everywhere, but still we don't wake up. We see, but we don't see because we are blinded. And then when we come to Krishna consciousness, we hear, that's the moment we wake up. But if we have what Srila Prabhupada calls causeless stubbornness, causeless obstinacy, then we won't hear, we won't understand, because there is inner resistance. So I'm also going to share how we could overcome this, but I want to first make this point that how the mind avoids Krishna consciousness. The mind cheats us and helps us escape Krishna's loving embrace. And as we get older, we have to grab Bhagavatam because Bhagavatam is the solution. Srimad Bhagavatam can give us what nothing else in this world can give. But the mind makes us escape Krishna's loving embrace. How? By that inner resistance. How does the inner resistance come? By asking how questions. We keep asking, how? Prabhuji, how do we do this? You know, there is a very telling phrase, very striking phrase in psychiatry, in recovery, rehabilitation programs, they say this, that you can't wake up someone who is pretending to be asleep. Similarly, this is not physical sleep they are talking about, this is talking about the inner resistance. See, the inner resistance, how it is, you know, with you and me, it will not appear as outright rebellion. None of us will say, I don't like Krishna consciousness. We will never say that. But it comes out as intellectual questioning that appears sincere, but it is subtly evasive. I'll repeat, it appears intellectual, very good questioning. But it's not, it's a state where we already know what to do, but we don't want to do it. So we delay by asking questions. We ask questions which, you know, in the disguise of seeking clarity. Actually, the mind is pretending to be a student, but actually the mind is a saboteur. It doesn't want us to surrender to Krishna. So we'll ask questions. Prabhuji, how do I surrender to Krishna? Have you asked this question ever? So what I'm not saying when I ask this, I'm not judging you. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm saying this from my journal. I was telling Vrajaraman Prabhu today that let me speak from my journal, because in journal it's like a mirror for me. So I am speaking about my condition. If it helps you, great, but please don't get judged. I'm not judging you. I'm talking about how the mind cheats us. So when I ask, how do I surrender? When the mind says, how do I surrender? What actually the mind means is, I don't want to surrender, but I need an excuse to delay it. Like my Guru Maharaj once said in one class, that Maya gets both devotees and non-devotees. Non-devotees, Maya gets by convincing them not to surrender to Krishna. And devotees, also Maya gets by convincing them to postpone their surrender to Krishna. So how is one way of masking that resistance? So let's say in the class you hear, we should chant attentively. Have you heard this in many Bhagavatam? Or we should surrender to Krishna. These things we hear, na? Or devotee should feel gratitude. We hear this. A sincere response will be what? Yes, I will try. I will try to surrender. Please help me. That's how the attitude is. But sometimes how the mind cheats us. Prabhuji, how do I surrender? How do I chant with attention? How do I feel gratitude? So this may appear, yeah, a very good question. But I have seen that it sounds like eagerness, but it's not a thirst for action. It's a way to postpone it. Because when you ask how, what happens? The burden gets shifted. You just see this. Whenever I ask questions, Prabhuji, how to do this? The burden is gone now because now the teacher has to answer. You see what I'm saying? Oh, the script, Bhagavatam has to deliver a formula now. I have asked how. The process has to make me feel something before I commit. It allows me to stay on the fence. Let me not jump. So I can appear spiritual, but I can avoid transformation. I can appear spiritual, but avoid change. So therefore, this how questions when we ask, it is not a bridge to transformation for many of us. It is a barrier. It is not a question born of genuine desire, but it is a subtle defense mechanism of the mind. The mind wants to feel safe. It wants to avoid discomfort. It wants to postpone surrender. One of the most dangerous forms of stagnation in our spiritual life comes not from atheism or laziness. It comes from cleverly disguised, in the robe of sincerity, the question how. It's a subtle way to escape. So, I'm saying this why? Because it has happened with me. I don't know if it has happened with you. A time comes in many devotees' lives, we go through what is called the dark night of the soul. In Christian tradition, they speak about it. When devotees go through challenge where spiritual practices, it seems you have hit a wall. You don't get taste in chanting and you get doubts. We feel dry. I don't know if you have felt inadequate, unworthy. And that is the time we are supposed to dive deeper. And that is the time we are supposed to say Krishna, we are supposed to cry out to Krishna. But what we do? We step back and we ask how. This how is not always an appeal. If it's an appeal, it's great, but it is a delay tactic. It is a hiding place. So I say how becomes a hiding place. So therefore, it's a mental loop that keeps us away from, it has kept me away from action. It is a paralysis disguised as philosophy. The classic example is Mahabharata. Who was the one who would ask questions always? Dhritarashtra. He would ask whom? Vidura. Before the Mahabharata war. He already knew what was right. Did Dhritarashtra not know what was right? Oh, how can I change my son? My son doesn't listen to me. What to do, Vidura? He would ask. He was not confused. We ask questions. You ask yourself, when you ask questions, is it because you are confused or is it because you are attached? Dhritarashtra was asking questions not because he was confused, because he was attached. And he didn't want to give up the attachment. So best way to avoid giving up that attachment is ask questions. So real change is uncomfortable. Bhagavatam is supposed to, I like what our Gaura Prabhu would say. Our philosophy, Bhagavatam philosophy is to shake, afflict the comforted and comfort the afflicted. If somebody is very comfortable, hilao usko. And if somebody is disturbed, then give him love, give him comfort. So transformation actually happens when we feel vulnerable, when we surrender, so that it's little uncomfortable to give up that control. So the mind throws up how is a smoke screen. It's not the real, it's a way the mind says, I'm willing to surrender. I just need a little clarification. Thoda samjhayenge Prabhuji. So how to do it? It's basically the fear of what will happen if I actually surrender. Nothing will happen. We are scared. Just chanting early morning, doing something, extra. We come to a stage where we have to dive into the process, but our questioning cheats us. Like Arjuna was asking, what should I do? But he was not ready to fight. What did he finally say after which all the questioning made sense? Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava pruchami tvam dharma sammuda cheta yachreyasa nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham sadiman tvam prapannam. I surrender. I am your disciple. I am confused. I am weak. Please instruct me, Krishna. Then he was teachable. So there are two ways of asking questions. Dhritarashtra is one way, and the second is Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj also has a lot of questions. Dhritarashtra is a perfect example of someone who was pretending to be asleep. He always asked how, but he never changed. What can I do? My fate is so bad. My son won't listen. What choice do I have now? What can I do? How can I stop my son? So his question was not seeking solution. His question was delaying action. Now let us contrast Dhritarashtra with Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj did not ask, how do I prepare for death? He first left. He sat on the back of Ganga. He surrendered his whole being. Right? He simply renounced. He took that bold step. I'm not saying we should do extreme, but I'm just saying that attitude. When all the sages from all over the world, universes came. Anyecha devarshi brahmarshi varsha rajarshi varya arunadayascha nanashaya pravaran sametan abhyarcha raja shirasa vande. So when all the sages came, they all went, oh, Parikshit Maharaj renounced everything. Let us go. Let us go and take his darshan. Something extraordinary is going to happen. This is the 18th and 19th chapter of the first canto. So, Anyesha, Devarshi, Brahmarshi, Rajarshi, they all came. And they came to take darshan of Parikshit Maharaj. But Parikshit Maharaj, when he sees them, what does he do? Abhyarcha Raja Shirasava Vande. He offers full Dandavat Pranam to them. And then he tells them, I am not going to be under illusion. You have not come because I am somebody great. No. Don't put me in this illusion. Because it can appear, that they all have come to take darshan of Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is very clear. I am very ordinary. You are coming to honor my grandfather. Aho vayam danyatama nripana mahattamanu grahaniya shila ragyam kulam brahmana pada shauchad durad visrishtat bata garya karma. He says, I am like a place that, in Vedic culture, before entering the house, you would wash your feet outside the house and then enter the house. He says, I am like that place where you wash your feet. He is not enamored, he is not carried away by the worship, by the respect that he is getting by all the great sages who have come from all over the universe to honor him. He is pakka, he renounced everything, he is humble. And then when he is asking questions, how should I prepare? That makes sense. He accepted the first few verses of the 19th chapter also. You see there are series of verses where Parikshit Maharaj is expressing his surrender. So like that, there are, I'm not going into all of that, but the question is simple. Who can help me remember Krishna in my final days? This was the essence of Parikshit Maharaj. And this is how, when he was asking questions, that came from hunger, not from hesitation. Dhritarashtra's questions were in a space of hesitation. So we have to ask ourselves, when I ask questions, they say sadhu, when you ask questions, sadhu means what? Cuts, na? Sadhu, no, sadhu means cuts. Guru means heavy. When we ask questions to Guru, sadhu, we are not ready to, if we are not ready to accept the answer, we should not ask questions. Because that is the mood, na? Ki I ask questions because I want, it's not from hesitation, it's from hunger. So, therefore, it is very important to learn from these two examples. Dhritarashtra versus Parikshit Maharaj. So, mind has disguised inquiries, when we are told in the classes, chant sincerely, forgive someone, give up envy, begin the day with gratitude. We ask, how do I begin with gratitude when I don't feel it? Have you heard this? Have you felt like this? I don't feel, Prabhuji. Now when we ask this question, the mind appears to be sincere, but it is actually trying to stay in the safe zone. Because there is no risk, there is no exposure, there is no death of the ego. And how becomes a hiding place? Because it helps us to remain near Krishna, but not with Krishna. We don't want to come close to Krishna. We linger on the bank of Ganga, but we don't dive into it. We don't jump into the Ganga. We're scared. So it is called spiritual procrastination, delaying. So we don't want Krishna. We want protection from Krishna. I have my attachments. I want Krishna to protect my attachments. So let me not dive into it. So let me ask some questions. Because, when we ask questions and when we accept the answers, we surrender. You know what happens when we surrender? Something in our identity will have to die. Ego, the layers that we have covered ourselves with, it has to go, and that is scary. Surrender is scary because ego death is scary for many of us. And the ego delays, it keeps asking questions. Because the answers, we don't want the answers because the answers would require commitment. So the antidote is, so the entire, okay, let us stop this discussion too much into this. Jai Radha Nil Madhav Bhagwan ki jai, Pita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya ki jai, Gaur Nitai ki jai, Narsimhadev Bhagwan ki jai. So, okay, now let us get into the solution part. What do we do now? Let us say we have somewhere within us something we want to avoid surrender. So let us do like this. The solution is a moment of honesty. I'll repeat, a moment of honesty is the solution. Am I truly seeking Krishna, or am I hiding behind a question? Sometimes the most powerful spiritual practice is not, sometimes most powerful spiritual practice is not chanting one round extra or reading another chapter of Bhagavatam. It is sometimes simply pausing and asking this question: what am I avoiding right now in my relationship with Krishna? Just ask this question: what am I avoiding right now in my relationship with Krishna? And when we sit with that question, in that stillness, the illusion cracks and we know the answer. The false how disappears. When I ask, what am I avoiding in my relationship with Krishna? And then what remains is a soft whisper, that Krishna, I'm afraid, but I still want you. I want Krishna, but I'm afraid. So the honest prayer sometimes is not, the question is not how do I surrender, but rather, Krishna, what am I avoiding right now? This one question which if we ask ourselves sincerely, it will expose the hiding. It will bring our heart into the light of Krishna consciousness. It will invite Krishna inside our heart. And this is enough actually. This one line touches Krishna more than hours and hours of intellectual inquiry. What am I avoiding in my relationship with Krishna now? So a practical meditation is something like this. Like when the mind says, when you get this question, how can I surrender? How can I improve my chanting? How can I be grateful? Answer for all these questions is this. Let me take one small step now. Let me say, for gratitude, for example, how can I surrender? Let me take one small step now. How can I practice gratitude, Prabhuji? Let me say thank you right now. How can I improve my chanting? Let me chant one mantra with love now. Have you noticed something common in all the answers? Now. So we are now shifting from paralysis to participation in the present moment. Now. There is something we can all do now. Don't wait for clarity to act. Many of us, we think, let me have clarity, then I will act. Bhakti Yoga is different. In Bhakti Yoga, we first perform some sincere action. Then clarity comes. Many times we want clarity first. Then I will do some bhakti. Aisa hota hai na? We have to change. It works differently. We don't need a perfect technique. We don't need a lot of answers. We just need present moment, heart connection. Then we'll stop hiding behind the how and we'll start acting with now. Now what can I do? Let us stop pretending to be asleep and Krishna immediately will become present in our... So basically let us move from how to now. The path forward is not always about learning something new. Every class we want something new. This is one of the most insidious things that can happen in our movement. Something new I want to know. No, it is about doing what we already know now. I remember Radhesham Prabhu asked this beautiful question last year in the Temple Bhagavatam class to His Holiness Radhanaswami Maharaj. He actually was echoing the mood of many of us. He said, Maharaj, we know already so much Bhagavatam, we know all these stories. So we got attracted by new things, like outside, how to apply this in modern context. We want some corporate example. And then we feel this reading or this study helps us, is more attractive than studying the same pastime deeply. And very intelligent, it's a very practical question he asked. Many of us have this feeling after some time. But then what an answer Maharaj gave. He said, Radhesham Prabhu, knowing is not important in Krishna consciousness. Association is more important. So you may know Bhagavatam, but that's not as important as association of Bhagavatam. Do you get this? He said, you may know all the verses of the Bhagavatam. So instead of seeking something new, now you have to move from knowing to association of those verses. But then Maharaj said, Haridas Thakur, did he not know the glories of holy name? He knew everything about the holy name. What did he do? He was associating with the holy name. So this is very important. Instead of asking, how do I feel gratitude? Let us say thank you right now. Simple. Instead of asking, how do I love Krishna? How do I love Krishna? Let us say, Krishna, I want to love you. We can say it right now. It doesn't take, in the thought form, Vaikari, theek hai. You may not say loudly, it may disturb or bewilder others. But the Madhyama Vak, at the thought form, you can always say, Krishna, I want to love you. We can always say that. Right now we can say that. So this is a simple answer to the question. So clarity we will get when there is obedience, when there is sincerity. And actually the understanding, I have seen it deepens after action. When we perform that famous pastime of Madan Mohan Malviya, who came and he washed pots, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's ashram, you know that story? He had many questions and devotees told him, Arey Panditji, come and join us, wash pots. He washed pots and clarity aa gaya. So many examples we know, Prabhus, Matajis, you will come to, in ISKCON, there are so many devotees who did seva, aa gaya, sab answers. And after seva, then meva, then prasadam. Then all the... So we don't actually grow by gaining knowledge. We actually grow by offering our heart to Krishna in the present moment. Telling Krishna, I love you, I want to love you. So therefore, this false how, instead of the false how, let us move to the true now. This moment. Every moment, So there is a difference between honest confusion of the heart, which is okay. We all are confused all the time. It's okay. Honest confusion of the heart is okay. But there is convenient confusion of the mind. So the honest confusion would say something like this. When my heart is confused, honestly, it will say something like this. Krishna, I want to love you. I don't know how. Please guide me. And then we start chanting, we serve, we learn, we ask questions. But the hiding mind, what the hiding mind will do, it will say, it has a different way of asking questions. It will say, how do I love Krishna? And then go off to sleep. So there is this, actually Krishna consciousness is very simple. Chanting, offering gratitude, serving, just appreciating devotees. It's such a simple process. Remembering Krishna. But simplicity is uncomfortable for the ego. And it would rather drown in complicated questions and than swim in the ocean nectar of humility and appreciation. So as long as we are stuck in the how without moving to the now, we remain trapped in spiritual inertia. We'll keep asking. So therefore, next time the mind asks how, I would say just pause and check if this question is a step towards surrender or is it a shield against surrender. If it is a shield, then gently lay it down and whisper, Krishna, I am here right now, I want to surrender, and then ask the question. So this moment of honesty can carry us forward much more than hours and hours of theoretical inquiry. So the conclusion of today's presentation is, let us wake up, let us not pretend. And but the good news is you are not asleep, none of you are asleep. You are awake. You are awake enough to hear me, and I can feel it. But I'm just saying it for myself because it's from a journal. So let us not make how as a hiding place. Let it become a launching pad. Let us ask questions. We should ask questions about chanting. We should discuss about how. But there has to be trust. There has to be questioning. There has to be connection. There has to be heart. And in that shift, when we will discover Krishna. And so therefore, I got some quotations. Once one devotee asked a lot of questions to Prabhupada, how to become sincere. And Prabhupada said, you are already sincere. Just show Krishna by your actions. Krishna is not fooled by your words. He basically was emphasizing do it, not think it. I'll repeat Prabhupada's words. You're already sincere. Just show Krishna by your actions. Krishna is not fooled by words. So do it and think it are two different things. So surrender is a muscle. Surrender is not a mantra. I surrender, no. Karo kuch, action karo. So there was one room conversation. One devotee said, Prabhupada, how do I become humble? And how Prabhupada cut the fog, What a simple question. How do I become humble? Prabhupada said, why not be humble? Why ask? Try to get the answer. What is the question? How do I become humble? What did Prabhupada say? Why not be humble? Why ask? The room went silent. Everybody understood. The answer was like a thunderbolt. Why ask? Just be humble. For those who are serious, they don't stay in the fog of how. They move to now. Abhi kya karna hai, batao. They take a step. They chant. They surrender. They offer. They may fall, but they'll rise. They move. They move forward. So Krishna will help the doer. We say Krishna is the doer. But this is a different context. Krishna helps the doer, not the delayer. So we can't delay. So Gajendra called out. Yonta sarasurubale grihitartha drishtva garutmati harim kaupata chakram utkshipya sambujakaram giramaha krichran Narayana Akila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. With all his effort, he picked up that lotus. Narayana Akila Guru. Krishna, I offer this. He surrendered. He offered it to Krishna. He didn't philosophize. He just, Krishna, I am yours. This sincerity touched Krishna's heart. So Srila Prabhupada always wanted us to offer ourselves. Bhakti nai, Veda nai, Khub namudaro, Ebe nama sartakadaro. Krishna, I am yours. I am surrendering. Prabhupada replaced how with now. And that's what we need to do. So, Prabhupada's answers are very simple. If you see in our conversations, one devotee is saying, how do I love Krishna? No complicated answer. Prabhupada's answer, you're already loving. Just transfer it to Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna and follow the process. Love will come. Kitna acha laga. No need of paralysis by analysis. So love comes through, basically Prabhupada's mode of love comes through surrender, not speculation. So like that, let us practice bhakti. Simple for the simple, right? So I've generally seen gratitude. There are 5 things in prayers which has helped me. I can share. One is gratitude, thanking Krishna for what we have. Second is praising, glorifying Krishna. And when I memorize verses, I think who said this recently? One of our brahmacharis in Bhagavatam class. Sometimes I used to memorize verses. I used to feel sometimes, am I memorizing this to show off in the class? I used to feel a little not happy. But then he said a very nice point. He said, how do we praise Krishna? Bhagavatam verses are not different from Krishna. So when we are chanting verses and memorizing verses, we are praising Krishna. So it gave me a lot of hope. So now whenever I am memorizing verses, I think, okay, this is praise. So we can praise Krishna by glorifying Krishna's qualities. Not because Krishna needs it, I need it. So I praise Krishna. Gratitude, praise, then dependence, which is acknowledging that, Krishna, I cannot succeed without your mercy. And fourth is surrender, offering Krishna ourselves without condition. And finally, request, asking for what we need. So generally I've seen, there is one more, 6th one, I didn't deliberately say it. That is our faults. Talking about our faults. we should always tell Krishna about the mistakes we have done, the faults we have done. But I've seen when we speak about our faults, we actually get into the faults so much. We invest emotions in faults, but not in Krishna. And we don't invest emotions in gratitude, dependence, surrender. उसमें इतना energy डाल नहीं पाते हम. Negativity में तुरंत energy चला जाता है. So therefore, it is all the 6 are important: gratitude, dependence, praise, surrender, request, and faults. So all the 6 are part of the prayers. So like that. So we have Bhagavatam, many examples. So let us, next time when I ask questions, let me ask myself first: is this my soul seeking guidance, or is this my mind seeking delay? Simple. If it is a soul seeking guidance, then yes, take the step forward. If it is a mind seeking delay, also it is okay. Smile and take a step anyway. Come to Krishna. So when we stop hiding behind the how, that is when we will finally start living in the now. And when we live in the now, that's where Krishna is, always in the now. Krishna is here. But we don't want to live for the now. We want to go back home, back to Godhead. We are not Buddhist meditators who want to be just in the now. So we want to serve Krishna now. For that we can go back to Krishna. I will pause here. Please, I'm open to corrections. I just spoke my speculation. But please, we can have some discussions now. You know, we have some time. Yes. Hare Krishna. Sorry if I spoke anything inappropriate, beyond my level of realization. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions, corrections?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes. अच्छा माइक लेके आया.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances after this to Srila Prabhupada. I wanted to ask about how to now. So if you can elaborate.
How to?
How to now.
How to move to now. You know, Niranjan Maharaj answers this very beautifully. There is a book called Lectures of a Disciple, Volume 2. Oh, that's one of my favorite books. So in that, Volume 1. So there he answers this question. He says in ISKCON, he says, there is how to do it questions. There is a category of questions called how to do it. So he says the answer to all the questions is same. You do it by doing it. So he says, how to become humble? Swamiji, how to become humble? So I tell them, become humble. How to become sincere? So I tell them, become sincere. So how to be in the now? I honestly don't know. I remember in Mumbai, Borivali, I used to do preaching. I once decided to start a new trend. In ISKCON, generally we have Bhagavatam class and then we have question answers. But I thought, because people used to come late, little late, so I thought we will begin with question answers and we will, after half an hour of question answers, then we'll have 1 hour class. That is what system we followed. And then we had Kirtan like that. So I remember once we spoke on holy name, that verse, Harer Nam verse. So the next week somebody said, how to make holy name the number 1 priority in our life. So then I explained about getting up in the morning, chanting few rounds and all that. And the next week somebody asked, that whole class I gave on that. Next week somebody said, Prabhuji, you said we should wake up in the morning and chant, but I have late night program and it's very difficult and mind is always, so how do I chant? How do I wake up in the morning? Then I spoke about Sattva Guna practices, which includes taking bath, eating consciously at night, before sunset, things like that. Sattva Guna. Next week, the following week, somebody said, Prabhuji, last week you spoke about Sattva Guna. How to live in Sattva Guna? Sattva Guna is very difficult. So that class I spoke about how we can try breathing breaks. No, I am a great advocate of breathing. I read it. I got a lot of quotes from Sanatan Goswami also. How breathing, pranayam and all is healthy for sadhakas. So I spoke all of that stuff. Breathing karna chahiye thoda. Before, all the. So everybody was happy. And next week somebody said, Prabhuji, but breathing, na, mind wanders too much. I tried for 1 week, Prabhuji, what to do? So I said, oh, breathing काम नहीं कर रहा है because you should write journals. Journaling. So then, okay, journaling के ऊपर. Next week somebody said, Prabhuji, journaling also, it's very difficult. My paper gets lost and people read what I've written in the journal. How to write journal, Prabhuji? So I said, you can write journal by writing prayer. So I told them, I give this, my favorite BJP formula, breathing, journaling and prayer. So I said, BJP Zindabad. So breathing, journal, prayer. So everybody liked it, just BJP. So next week somebody said, Prabhuji, वो BJP का technique बहुत अच्छा था, but वो practical नहीं हो रहा है, Prabhuji. How to do it? Huh? So I said, अरे ये सब बेकार है, आप हरिनाम का आश्रय लो. And then next week somebody said, Prabhuji, you spoke about Harinam. How to take shelter of Harinam? So then I said, you should have a Sattva-guna lifestyle. And then as I was saying it, I realized, are you seeing what's happening? The same loop. If I had spoken about Sattva-guna that week, next week somebody would have said, Sattva-guna kaise rehne ka? I would have said, breathing karo. There is no end to how to do it. So basically, how to now mein simple hai, be in the present moment. Burijan Prabhu explains very beautifully in his book called Japa. He says, listen to one Maha Mantra. Which Maha Mantra? The one that I'm chanting right now. Like when we chant Hare Krishna, we chant this mantra. So he says, make a sankalpa. Just before you say the first Hare, make a sankalpa that this one mantra I'm going to listen. It's a wave. It happens in a microsecond. Sankalpa happens in a microsecond. And just focus on this one Maha Mantra. Not the 16 rounds. You don't have to chant and hear all the 16 rounds. So how to be in the now? How to be in the now, Mataji? No, I didn't say one mantra at a time. We listen to the one mantra that I am chanting now. If you say one mantra at a time, the mind will go to the next mantra. There is no next mantra. Now, just listen to the mantra that I am chanting now. That helps us be in the present moment. And this is also called as Avyagratva. Sanatana Goswami, that verse I quoted in the beginning. This one thing changed my life, Just be patient. Don't rush your rounds. Just don't rush your... And when I've done that, my God, I'm telling you, my life became so peaceful. It's a simple thing. It may appear silly, but just not rushing my rounds. Knowing that there is enough time. हो जाएगा 16 वाला, tension मत लो. अच्छे से एक mantra सुनो. This mantra, let me listen. That mantra nourishes. Then it gives us enthusiasm to chant the next mantra. And then overall, 16 rounds हो जाता है. We anyway waste so much time on WhatsApp, on Instagram, social media. 16 rounds आराम से हो जाएगा. Happily हो जाएगा if you focus on which mantra we should hear? The mantra that I'm chanting now. So this is a very amazing technique Burijan Prabhu gives in his book, Japa. But as he gives many keys, 9 keys he gives. This is, I think, the second one after Sankalpa. And then 8th and 9th is surrender, humility, dependence. And the end he says, a time will come in your life when even this one technique will fail. This technique of listening to the mantra, we'll have to just surrender to Krishna completely. But that will be later. But at least you start with this. Krishna, I am yours. This mantra I am offering now to you. So does that help, Mataji? To be in the now? Hare Krishna. So I try to answer your question how to be in the now, but I also give a subtle message that how questions can trap us. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
Yes. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Very simplified and how to implement what we hear and practice. For me, it reminds me the verse Tadvidhi Pranipatena. When you ask a question, you ask for the transformation.
Yes.
And ask the right person.
Yes.
And do some seva, association.
Yes.
So all the things are Krishna actually said in that verse.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Also, one thing it has helped me, Bhagavatam mein, Bhagavatam puts everything in proper perspective. And I'm amazed the way Bhagavatam describes about life and death. So when I see that, I get an aerial view. Like after describing all the kings, I was reading 11th canto recently, all the amazing kings' names are mentioned. if you carefully read, each of these kings ruled the entire planet Earth. See, now we may have one king for one country. All these amazing names, and those names I'm not able to pronounce also. And when I read all the names, I was reading slowly, deliberately. I wanted those names to go in. Imagine each of them were ruling the whole planet Earth for hundreds of years. After all the names, what does Shukdev Goswami says? He says, Ye bhupatayo rajan bunjate bhuvamo jasa kale nate krita sarve kata matra kata sucha. I was like, wow. Ye. Now all the names I mentioned just now, they were not ordinary people. Bhupatayo rajan, O king, they were the bhupatis. They were the lord and master of the whole planet. Ye bhupatayo rajan. And they were not rubber stamp kings. Bunjate bhuvamo jasa. They enjoyed with all their sensual prowess. They had the capacity to enjoy. They were not like a rubber stamp king. But what are they now? Kale nate krita sarve. Time has wiped all of them off. Kata matra, kata sucha. They are simply names in the history books. Oh, when I read that, my heart just skipped a beat. My God, all of them gone? Who am I? Insignificant. Ek kita mari gela, Haridas Thakur says. We are insignificant. And there is this nectar of insignificance we need to experience. We generally think, if I'm insignificant, I'm nobody, I'm miserable. No. We need to enter that space. When we are in the present moment and we understand the context, everything is temporary. All kings have gone. Who am I? Then we enter into this space of nectar of insignificance. We need to experience that. I am nobody. And in that space, we feel a sense of belongingness to Krishna. I am nobody. I'll be wiped off. But this is a paradox of bhakti. I am insignificant. I am nobody. But I belong to Krishna. So the more we try to be controller, enjoyer, more fear gets us. Bhayam ditya biniveshatasya dishadapetasya viparyayo smriti. So therefore we need to understand, I'm nobody, I'm just getting dissolved. Sab khatam ho raha hai. Everything is going, gone. So then I'm able to take shelter of the holy name. So like that. Yes, thank you, Prabhu, for that point. Service, questions, and transformation. Asking questions for transformation, not for information. Yes. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, all of you, for your kind attention. Hari Bol. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So, His Grace Bihari Prabhu has been part of our society and movement for over 30 years. And he has been part of the Brahmachari Ashram in Shri Radha Gopinath Temple, ISKCON Chowpatty for over 25 plus years. Again, he's not something who needs an introduction, but for those who have joined here for the first time, so Prabhu has been author of many books, and we have some of this collection of his books. This year, Prabhu, there was no new books, right, Prabhu?
It's gone for print.
Okay. Okay.
It's on overthinking.
So one thing very unique about His Grace Bihari Prabhu is that in his classes, right, he makes the classes very palatable, that easy to take away what we can apply in our day-to-day life, right? So yeah, we can talk about high-level philosophies and other things, but what is the key takeaways? And as you saw right now today, right, like how we can, trying to hide ourselves, asking questions, how can we move to now, right? So that's the beauty of His Grace Bihari Prabhu through his classes. So let's welcome His Grace Bihari Prabhu by chanting Hari Bol and also express our gratitude for this first session. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Also, we are very fortunate here today that His Grace Amrendra Prabhu is also here. So So we'll continue. The tomorrow's session will be a home program in Shanvika Mataji's home and Satvik Prabhu's home. So please, if you have not RSVP'd, so please RSVP, because they want to make sure that everybody has adequate prasadam, logistics and all those things are taken care. So that will be the second part of this, will be tomorrow in their home. Prasadam serving starts at 6 to 7 and the class will start at 7 p.m. Again, tomorrow morning, as we are having a group japa, while on the way, I told Rajbihari Prabhu, and he said that he is very enthusiastic and looking forward for the group japa tomorrow mornings.
Thank you. I was so happy to hear about this because I'm missing temple. So, and I'm traveling now last few days. I want to chant with devotees. Thank you. Thank you, bro.